Hello everyone and welcome back today for round 11 here in the GT Sport League at Gavra Racing. You join us for an exciting race that's yet to come. We're at Mount Panorama in the dark. It's about 6:15 here and the headlights are on, but once again, like always, I'm joined by my co-commentator Thunder 5050.
Hello.
And like I said earlier, we're here at Mount Panorama for a night race. Yes, that's right. We'll be in the dark for qualifying and the race. If this track wasn't tricky enough, take away the sun and add the moon, and this should make things especially really interesting for us, especially in the commentary box and for you guys watching. But Mount Panorama, very tricky track. Total length 6,213 meters. Quite a long track with a total elevation change of 174 meters. Obviously we've got the uphill climb down to the downhill chicane, 23 corners, and the longest straight is 1.6 kilometers. I'm looking forward to this one, Thunder. I'm not sure about you, but we're here for a 12-minute quali.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think GJ's just starting his flying lap here, but anything can happen here. It's more not even my driver's pace here, it's going to be driver consistency and just not hitting one of these barriers, which is going to be really, really tricky. So we'll see the men from the boys in these drivers.
Definitely, and GJ will be the first to set a lap. He's currently on his flying lap. We'll ride on board with him and then we'll check out how everyone else is doing further down the grid. But we've only got 9 drivers unfortunately today. I don't know where everyone else is. I know a few drivers couldn't make it. But GJ getting onto the grass there and scraping the barrier a little bit. Those sparks are really really bright when you have a race at night. But as GJ will be the first to negotiate the chicane, we'll see how he does.
So tight.
And his first attempt, it's really tight and really easy to go wrong. Play Dutchy is next to go through. He is able to control his car. Touismo now, a little bit of a wobble, but he's able to negotiate the chicane. Oriole, another driver not to crash. There's Cryptech with a 4/10 penalty. That could be from a barrier collision. I'm not sure where he's got that from, but we'll just keep an eye on him through the downhill chicane. The Aston Martin, a car with quite high downforce actually, and he's lost the rear, and that is him round. He's currently doing a 360 in the middle of the chicane, but luckily his car will ghost for Joe Black, who is coming through the chicane now. We'll see how well he does on his qualifying lap.
One thing I would say is GJ's car might do well due to this track, because seeming the Subaru's more of a rally car, especially to that chicane. He might be able to drift it a bit, or
that may potentially, as Play Dutchy sets the fastest lap of the qualifying session so far, 1 minute 2.6. Oriole goes up into second place with a 2 minute 1.9. Touismo closely behind him in third, 2 minute 1.9. GJ behind him in fourth, 2 minutes 3.6. So the gap between Touismo and Oriole only 100th. Once again, another really close qualifying session, and I think Cryptech will be the next to come across the line. He did have his spin though in sector 2, that in the downhill chicane section. He will go into 5th place. Will Joe Black go quicker? He does. It's a 2 minutes 11.2. He goes up into 5th place. Someone else is coming around the final corner now. It's not Duke. Who is it? I think it's Topster.
no.
Topster. He comes across the line, and actually yes, he comes across the line to start his flying lap. And Play Dutchy's actually coming to the pits here, so maybe he picked up some damage. Oriole's gone wide on the entry to the chicane. Touismo behind him. Sorry, Touismo actually in front of him, going through the downwards, very tricky section of the track. No mistake from him, really clean, getting as close as you can to the barriers. Duke's gone fourth, 2 minute 2.7.
GJ's got a 2-second penalty. That's GJ's had a collision on.
Yeah, GJ into the wall. He's got engine and suspension damage, so that'll be him into the pits as Holland Campy moves his way up into 5th place, 2 minutes 3.3. So 2 seconds off Play Dutchy. I'm sure all the time is lost and found in the downwards chicane. That someone on track is that now. I can't find it. It is Cryptech.
Touismo in the pits.
We'll see how he does through the chicane. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello Black Country. Hello Tiger Assassin. As Cryptech kind of drifts it through the left-hander, the 180-degree right-hander. Left-hander, sorry, onto the straight. As there's actually quite a few drivers into the pit, so maybe picking up some damage. But yeah, it's unfortunate you couldn't have been here today, Tiger. It would have been a thrilling race between you and Dutchy. Obviously, we know that you been showing some great pace around this track. 5 minutes to go in the opening qualifying session. We'll follow Cryptech round in the final sector, see where this lap time puts him. He's approaching the final corner now. Cryptech in the Aston Martin, the V12 Vantage, and with the Red Bull helmet, Red Bull livery, comes up to the line, will set a 2-minute 8.1, moves him up into 7th place. But there's quite a big margin actually between some of these drivers, but quite a small margin between some others. 4 seconds between Cryptech and GJ, as Tobster actually goes 5th fastest, his Honda. A really tricky car to handle around this.
As you said about the qualifying, in this league we always have really tight qualifying, I swear. Like, usually the top 3 or maybe 2nd to 4th place could be separated by 4/10 of a second, which is really interesting and makes for great races.
And Duke has made his way up into 4th place with a 2-minute 2.1, 6/10 improvement on his last lap, moves him up to 4th place, only a 1/10.5 behind Touismo, who's actually still 100th behind Oriole. That's how close those two are running. But Touismo now is on an outlap. I believe most of the drivers are on an outlap after pitting for what I assume could be damage. Play Dutchies into the pits. He had front suspension damage.
He went purple in sector 1 there.
Oriole is preparing himself for another lap. He's backed off the accelerator. I think Touismo's about to start another lap as well. Currently 3.5 minutes in quali.
Topster's had a collision in the downhill chicanes. He's got front bumper damage. He finds his way back into the pit lane.
Let's have a quick look and see what happened to Topster. That Honda, he's already got front left suspension damage, and as he's gone into the chicane, we'll have it. Oh yeah, he's turned in a little bit too early, clipped the wall on the inside, and that's unsettled his Honda. A really tricky car to control, especially in the downhill section. But just like we saw there, Touismo using his headlights to alert Topster that he was coming through in a flying lap, so that could be a benefit of this night race.
Yeah, and one thing we're seeing in this qualifying session, they've been racing right here for about 9 minutes now, but the amount of mistakes and crashes, obviously in the race you'll be a bit more cautious, but this could be showing that it's going to be a very difficult race, and yeah, people just have to be really careful. You could win this race by just not getting any damage, which is very interesting.
Definitely. And on board with Touismo now, he approaches probably the trickiest few corners on the calendar, and probably the trickiest few corners in the entire game. As a little bit loose in the rear, but he's able to catch the Mercedes well. That makes the Mercedes. There's a little bit of a mix of good in the corners, good in straight line speed. I probably think it's straight line speed is where the Mercedes is best at. But behind him is Tobster and Holland Camping. Holland Camping getting a little bit close to the wall there. These camera angles are actually really good. I appreciate the game for giving us such a good camera angle. But there's Play Dutchy. He's about to start his flying lap. Someone's about to come across the start-finish line. It was Duke. He didn't improve on his lap. As he's now.
He was on an outlap.
He's on an out. Okay, so he's now Play Dutchy is starting a flying lap. I believe Touismo on a lap. He's coming through the final corner now. Will it be an improvement from his 2-minute 1.9? It isn't. It's a 2-minute 2.2. 2/10. Oh, there were too many twos in that sentence. But it's 2-minute 2.2. 2/10 off his personal best. Still 100th off Oriole. That's how close these drivers are. And GJ sets a new personal best. Moves his way up into 7th with a 2-minute 3.5. Just over a 10th behind Colin Campion, and as Oriole goes even quicker with a 2-minute 2.6. So Touismo's going to have to find 3/10 now in order to jump Oriole, and it's currently just less than 4/10 behind Play Dutchy. as he allows Cryptek to go through on the left hand side. Cryptek is on a flying lap, but there are a few people approaching the chicane. I don't know if there's a name for the chicane. If anyone knows the name for the chicane at the top of the track, then please do let me know in the comments so I don't just end up calling it the chicane. But we all know what part of the track I'm referring to when we see that. But someone else is negotiating the chicane. It's going to be it's Touismo now. He's on another flying lap, currently in 3rd place, leading the championship. Tiger in 2nd. Unfortunately, couldn't find a replacement. I'm not sure many replacement drivers would want to make their debut around Mount Panorama. This is a really tough track to make your debut on.
Yeah, and we have quite a few drivers missing, but still, we've still a solid 9 drivers out, which will
Duke.
As Cryptek's foot.
Sorry, I was going to say Duke drifting through the final corner. As Albert's qualifying over, we've completely missed that. To qualify, the time is up, and these drivers are on their final laps now. 2 minutes left to set their final lap. Touismo will come around the final corner now. Will he improve on his time? It looks to be a good lap, actually. It's going to be a 2 minutes 1.8, and it's not quick enough to jump Oriole or play Dutchy, but as other drivers come around the final corner, it's Topster and Campion. Campion moves up into 5th place, but will Topster improve? Topster doesn't improve.
As Oriole, the closest man to play Dutchy, he's going to come to the final corner now.
Doesn't look to be an improvement.
No, it's been a bad lap.
Doesn't look to be an improvement. And unfortunately, because this game cannot simulate a qualifying session, we will have to wait the rest of the 1 minute 10 seconds. But that gives me 1 minute to go down your grid order for today's race. It will be Play Dutchy on pole position with a 2 minute. What time did he set? 2 minute 1.5, 1.2, sorry. And Oriole in 2nd, 3/10 behind him. Touismo will line up in 3rd place, followed by Duke in 4th, only 2/10 behind. Holland Campion will start in 5th. He is driving the Jaguar F-Type with them of that Rusty's Lightning McQueen livery. We'll see what we can do in the races. Topster in the Honda. It's done well to get that Honda up into 6th place. Really tricky car to drive around this track. GJ will start in 7th place, followed by Cryptek in 8th. And Joe Black will round up the grid in 9th. But I think that's the slowest and the calmest I've ever gone through the grid. Usually I've got about 3 seconds left in quali, but this time we've got it done.
You remembered. I'm really excited for this race. I feel like an underdog could win. Obviously we've seen Play Dutchy win the last 5 or 6 races, just dominating the races, but for some reason I feel someone else has a decent chance for winning this race, and I really hope it does come true and we have a really good race.
Definitely. It's an unforgiving track is Mount Panorama. The motor racing circuit goes by its full name. But here we go. Some of these drivers flashing their lights off the start. It is a night race here. There is your grid lineup today. Touismo for the win is what Black Country Mush is saying in the chat. We'll just have to wait and see. A very unforgiving track, as I said. So anyone can make a mistake and anyone can win. It's like the GT Sport version of Monaco. But this time it's at night. Good evening to everyone in the chat. Hope you're as excited as we are, because this is gonna be interesting. We're just gonna wait for the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Let's go, go, go. It's like starting a sports day race. And Play Dutchy leads the field into turn 1. Oriole behind him in 2nd. No late moves into turn 1. And I just want to say I appreciate the beautiful graphics of all the drivers with the headlights. As GJ
just in a massive drift.
Drifting through turn 1. Maybe not the optimum line. But Duke now got a good run on Touismo. Will he make a move into turn 2? I'm not sure he's going to look for anything yet. But yeah, a clean start so far. But like we're only through turn 2, and anything can happen as Play Dutchy still leads this way. No drivers have damage so far, but Duke is all over the back of Touismo earlier on in this race. Touismo not getting the best of start compared to Oriole, already a 2nd behind him. And now going up the hill into the downhill section.
Touismo's
got damage. Touismo's got damage, scraping the wall on the left-hand side. He's got left suspension damage. So already one driver with damage. Topster, sorry, and Holland Campion hitting the wall. Holland Campion's got damage. As Play Dutch is the first to negotiate the train. He's getting the chicane. He's getting onto the. He got into the grass a little bit. Lucky not to use the rear. His Duke got past Touismo with his damage. Cryptek now, he's got front right damage as well. Does Joe Black? Joe Black doesn't have damage. So Joe Black, another driver to keep it clean, as GJ's all over the back of Holland Campion. Holland Campion does have that front damage, remember, so GJ might have Holland with Holland's lack of straight line speed. And picking up right suspension damage.
As Cryptek's in the barrier, Cryptek's in the barrier.
As Cryptek, really unfortunate. We'll have another look and see what happened through the chicane. He's in the downhill, getting onto the grass and then losing the rear. That's probably not the first time we're going to see that this race, but GJ getting past Holland with the straight line speed difference. I'm sure Holland can't fight it too much with his damage. Play Dutchy comes to the final corner now with a 1.4 second gap over Rorio in second, but Touismo, he's got front right damage, decides to stay out. Topster has moved his way up into 6th place. GJ in 6th. Campion into the pits. It is actually a very tricky pit lane. So I wonder if we'll see many drivers. It's a very weird pit lane now. So it looks like a change of tyres as well for the Dutch driver, refueling, and I'm sure he'll be repairing the damage to his Jaguar F-Type.
Interestingly, Cryptek doesn't come into the pit.
So Cryptek stays out. He is Holland Campion's actually come out ahead of him, and so that damage might cost him later on in this race, especially through the downhill section of this track. Touismo with his damage has dropped off Duke a little bit. That could allow Topster to gain on the Mercedes driver, your current championship leader, with damage and in 4th place. So that's going to allow the likes of Duke and Play Dutchy to get big gains on him in the championship. But the driver who's in 2nd place is currently not in this race. He's unable to make it today, and that's going to have well, that could cost him in the championship. Maybe his 2nd place is at risk depending on where Duke finishes, but Duke is currently in a podium 3rd place. Going through the chicane now, as all these drivers so far keeping it clean on the 2nd lap. I don't think anyone has yet to crash on this lap, which is excellent.
As Oriel's still keeping in contact with Play Dutchy, which is it's 7/10 between them. So maybe Oriel, if he puts in a solid last sector, he's gaining on him here. He's in the slipstream, I think, on this long back straight. So he might be able to look for a move. He's been looking very pacey throughout qualifying.
Maybe,
so he might be able to make a challenge.
Play Dutch, must have made a mistake. The gap was like 1.3 seconds on the start of straight at the end of lap 1, and it's now 4 tenths, 3 tenths, 5 tenths. So maybe Oriel has found a bit of pace, or maybe Oriel's turned up the engine. And the green headlights, kind of green and yellow headlights, shining all over the back of that bright orange BMW. Almost forgot what car. Play Dutchy was driving there. But Play Dutchy set the pole. He is in the slipstream. There was an update that increased the slipstream, not by much though, but it's all that little time counts. The gap all the way down to 2 tenths. So that slipstream definitely helping, but it's whether the dirty air, how much of the dirty air is going to affect the drivers, especially in Sector 2. Sector 2 and dirty air is probably not a good recipe, with Duke setting the fastest lap at 2 minute 1.6. Now that if he'd done that in quali, that would have got him up into 2nd place.
Yeah, I think I think Play Dutchy got a 2 minute 1.2 or 3. That's really pacey for Duke, as in the start of the season we saw him dominate the first 3 races, and I think he's coming 2nd in the championship at the moment, or 3rd.
And got a ride on board with Oriel now. A little slide from Play Dutchy. Hasn't cost him too much time though, as these drivers are on lap 3 now. We've had the 60 minute endurance race. We've had 5 of those minutes and have 55 of them left.
I would say we're going to get probably about 35 laps, maybe 33 laps. So it's really hard for the drivers to keep concentration. And yeah, because the mind won't be able to rest. There's only really one straight, but yet you still have to turn your steering wheel, which doesn't make you relax that much. So Yeah, it's a real endurance race here.
Definitely, and Joe Black actually has got in front of Holland Campion. Holland Campion, sorry, Topster, major damage everywhere.
Ooh.
I'm unable to see what happened there, but I guarantee you he lost it in the downhill section. I was going to say the downhill hill section, but that doesn't make much sense. Really unfortunate for him. Obviously, like we said, that Honda, really tough car to drive. GJ's in the pitch, he has damage as well.
Yeah, damage.
That's going to promote Joe Black up into 5th place, 10 seconds behind Toussaint, who is in 4th place, 4.5 seconds behind Duke. And Oriole's dropped off the back of Play Dutchy a little bit. 1 second separate the two, so Dirty Air really affecting Oriole with the Mercedes.
As Play Dutchy said, a faster lap than Duke with a 201.4, so I think that's 2/10 off his qualifying time, which is really good in race pace. And he's just slightly pulling out ahead of Oriole TV 123, which is really good, nice to see for Play Dutchy.
Definitely, and Tubbs has come in for his repairs. A really long pit stop from him. It's 40 seconds off of his last lap. That's how much time he's lost in this race due to that damage. But on board with Duke now. He's gonna try and look to extend the gap to Toussaint. And
as Toussaint still has damage, don't forget.
Toussaint having damage.
So he might just stay for his normal pit window, but him going through the downhill section, the turning just is not as responsive, so he just has to be really careful.
Definitely, and all these drivers, you never know what's going to happen until the end of the race. Play Dutchy might be winning, but one small mistake is GJ losing it again. We'll get another replay of what happened. He's already got front damage from before. I don't know if he repaired that in the pits or not, because he went into the pits with that damage. On board with him now, he's gone into the downhill chicane a little too quickly. He's locked the rear brakes, I think, and he's gone sliding off into the barrier, but no additional damage, but just that damage definitely impacting him in this race.
Yeah, as we're already seeing some mistakes hit in. As Joe Black is in 5th place, with a really good result for him so far, so if he can just keep himself out of trouble, this could be a great race for Joe Black.
Definitely, and we've seen mistakes from Holland, GJ, Topster and Cryptek, and that's just allowed Joe Black, who has kept it clean, to make 4 positions in this race, so it's been a really good start from here. That's the aim of the game in this race. It'd be like Monaco, or Baku, or any other street circuit that you could think of, keeping it clean and consistent, and then that should do you well. But the night race is definitely adding another element of challenge into as Play Dutch here. 2 minute flat 0.9.
That's faster than his qualifying time.
The only other driver who's been in the 2 minute flats is Tiger Assassin, who's not actually here. Tiger Assassin in practice was doing 2 minute flats, and unfortunately he couldn't make it for today's race. But nevertheless, it's a really quick lap, 2 minute 0.9. But the gap between him and Oriole now 3.3 seconds. So maybe Play Dutchy's up the engine and
Duke is starting to close in on Oriole here, which could have a battle. I think there was 3 seconds between them at one stage, but he's got down to 2.6 seconds or 2.8 seconds. So he might be closing slowly in. As Toussaint's been a bit of no man's land at the moment. He's losing time to Duke, but I think he's steady time against Joe Black, so he might have to just bring the car home, because of course there's no safety cars in this game. The pack will never bunch up.
He might have a scheduled pit stop and planned, but he might come in a few laps earlier to repair the damage done to his car.
Cryptek's got more damage.
Cryptek more damage, and I think that's his left indicator on, so as you go a little bit sliding on the rear into the S section, just keep an eye, and that car looks really unstable in the downhill section of this track. And
you're literally just in this section, you're going down a mountain. Oh, he hit the barrier.
He's hit the wall again, so it might come in to repair the damage but I think everyone else is clear for damage other than Toussaint. So hello, Techers in the chat. Good to see you here. And Played actually currently leading this race. The gap quite consistent actually to Oriole. However, if you look on the right hand side of your screen, Played actually setting consistently quick laps. 2-minute 9s. Oriole in the 2-minute 2.6, 2-minute 2-minute 1.7. So he's definitely showing his pace, as Toussaint now is losing a fair bit of time to Duke. But
yeah, but I think he's gaining time on Joe Black, or he's extending his lead, or he's gapped him, so he might need to worry about cars from behind. But you don't know what strategies there are. Not many drivers have any tyre wear, so this track I don't think is very hard or harsh on the tyres, even though there's a lot of elevation changes, which usually means a lot of damage or a lot of wear on the tyres.
On board with Holland Campion now, running in 6th place. He has made his pit stop after hitting the barrier on the opening lap. The gap between him and Joe Black, 13.1 seconds. We'll keep an eye on the gap throughout the race, and it's now down to 13.0, now 12.9. So we'll see how quickly. Apart from Toussaint deciding to stay out with his broken suspension, or damaged suspension. At this moment, Duke come out ahead of Joe Black, because obviously pit stops can vary in time, as you can put in different amounts of fuel. So maybe if he pulls out a bit more of the lead, he might be able to come out ahead of Joe Black. As around this track, you don't want to come out in traffic as it's very hard to overtake. Seeing it's literally Monaco. Yeah, all these drivers have planned their strategy, whether they're going to conserve their fuel and go long and then have a slower pit stop, or a quicker pit stop, or burn all their fuel quickly and run more laps with more fuel. But it'll be interesting to see when Toussaint comes in and when he comes in compared to drivers such as Duke and Oriole, who have got no damage, and whether he'll pit in early and repair the damage, put in more fuel and then push harder. We'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think we've got any on-track battles at the moment. I think Tulsa and GJ's our closest two drivers on track.
Yeah. As we can see now, the drivers kind of settling down, going into a bit of a rhythm, as we see GJ scraping the barrier. So seeing the drivers don't have to worry about as much as a car behind and a car ahead. They can kind of get into a bit more of a rhythm, which helps them from hitting in, from making mistakes.
I've just got that lovely message saying my internet connection isn't sufficient enough to broadcast gameplay, but we're fine. It's all good. Anyway, Played actually after 15 minutes leads the race. Oriole in 2nd place, Duke in 3rd, followed by Toussaint in 4th. Joe Black in 5th, Holland Campion in 6th, GJ in 7th, Topster closely behind him in 8th, and Cryptech is in 9th place. But Topster now all over the back of GJ, and he's flashing his lights at GJ. He's trying to put him off here potentially. Obviously, it is a night race, so you are going to see the flash of the lights, the rather bright greeny yellow lights.
Yeah, it's made to different cars of different colours of lights.
As he actually runs a little bit wide.
Some drivers have white lights, and then some drivers have kind of yellowy lights. Not that it makes much of a difference, but it's cool to see. As GJ runs very wide out of turn 1. Maybe he just wants to go rallying with his car.
We're going to keep on board with this battle for 7th place. GJ in the Subaru versus Topster in the Honda.
As the Honda going to that corner, usually looks a little bit wobbly and loosey. It looks quite.
GJ picking up some damage. That damage is definitely going to affect GJ's performance, especially in the corners, as there's some sparks coming off the side of top of his car as he scrapes the wall a little bit on the left hand side, I think it was.
The sparks look really cool in night races as Hobsters all around in the
As Cryptex GJ's hit the wall and he's going off into the grass, and
no
that
extra damage.
really unfortunate for him. No extra damage, but a lot of time lost.
As Hutton Campion's damage now.
Holland Campion picking up some front right damage. And so Holland Campion picking up a little bit more damage, and I believe it's Play Dutch. He's actually coming up to lap. Who is it? Cryptech, I think it is, the 9th. So we'll just have to see how that's.
As if I'm right, these meet in the downhill section, which could cost Play Dutchy a lot of time. It depends how much Play Dutchy gains.
Potentially, as Holland Campion's now into the pits. Once again, he's already made one pit stop in this race, but the number 95 is in to make another pit stop, change of tyres, a little bit of fuel, and he's repairing the damage. GJ also comes into the pits, and maybe that 62% of fuel's enough to go to the end. Just have to wait and see.
Blue flags are being waved for I think it's Cryptech now for Play Dutchy. Play Dutchy's probably happy as they've passed the downhill section. So maybe Cryptech might let Play Dutchy by, maybe in the first sector. He's still not quite close enough to make an overtake on him or get by him, so he'll close it soon. But blue flags are being waved for Cryptech at this moment.
And hello to Agulator in the chat. How you doing? Hope you're enjoying the racing. As Play Dutchy leads the race. It's round 11 in the GT Sport League. Currently got 41 minutes to go. We've had 20 of the original 60 minutes. But Play Dutchy currently leads this race.
As Cryptech goes into the pits.
Cryptech's into the pits. Did he have damage? He does have damage, and that damage has been repaired. 77% of fuel, that should be enough maybe to get him to the end, as we're going to ride on board with GJ for a little bit. He had a bit of damage earlier while battling with Tubster, hit the barrier on the inside, and
Cryptech's off,
wide.
Cryptech's off.
And Cryptech's off into the gravel, off into the grass. I think.
I think he's sent people to go. Sorry.
I think he's letting the two Saint go by. But interestingly, going to the grass, it would have been fine if he just pulled over to the other side of the track, but just using the grass instead.
One thing we have to say is this has been a great for Toussaint. With that front left damage, we've seen other drivers pit, but he's stayed out with it. And he's actually stayed in touch with Duke, so maybe with no damage, he might be able to catch up to Duke, as the gap's only 2.4 seconds. So this is really impressive by Toussaint. Obviously our championship leader. And, yeah.
Definitely, and
3 races to go after this race. He's a really, really good chance of winning this championship.
You're the Premier Series champion, currently 4th in the this race here at Mount Panorama, leading the championship.
As
Duke's gone off, and he's gone round into the barrier. That's promoted Toussaint. But we're going to be able to get an action replay of that and expose the drivers even more, because that's what we like to do. And we're going to ride on board with Duke. He's always turning a little bit late. Yes, he's yeah, it's the whole entry to the corner has completely messed up the run. And yeah, he went into the corner, not incorrectly, but just off the racing line, and that's messed up his run. Got onto the grass, put the power down a bit too early, and luckily span into the right direction, almost doing a Charles Leclerc at Germany, and doing a full 360, and ended up facing in the right direction, and he had caught up behind Toussaint. Toussaint though still has that damage. Like, yeah, really lucky not to get damage.
I love the way as soon as we start talking about a battle, one of them makes mistakes, like they hear us.
It's almost like the commentator's curse is around us. We should We should just not talk about anything. We should just not talk about the race. We should just be quiet. Just not comment on any battles.
We should make our own podcast for this race.
We're like the black cat. We're like the black cloud in the sky. You know, the thunder and the lightning. Duke has had a good run actually. He might Touismo with his damage. It's not going to help him. But Duke has had a really good run. Potentially we'll see him, maybe see a move, but really tricky place to make a move.
Topster on Holland Campion onto the main straight. He might look for a move. He's got a
he's got a good move. GJ runs a little bit wide. Topster on the inside. Play with a 1 second penalty. He serves that into the corner. He breaks a little bit earlier. Serves 5/10 of that penalty. We've got a three-way battle stirring up for 6th place. And then another battle here for 3rd place between Duke and Touismo. But Holland Campion now all over the back of Topster. Will ride on board as he moves over to the inside, the right-hand side, into turn 2. Will he get it done? Topster tries to hold it round the outside. He's going to hold it round the outside. Oh, really good move. Now GJ's going to have a look down the inside of Holland Campion. Not a place you would expect to move.
Someone's in the barrier.
Someone is in the barrier, as it's Cryptek in the barrier. Really unfortunate for him, but I can't look away from this battle. It's Oriole pits with only 2% of fuel. Holland Campion now, GJ all over the back of Holland Campion. Holland Campion with a 4/10 penalty. Duke now going to have a run on Touismo. Will he go for a move? Both of them go into the pits. So Touismo and Duke go into the pits. Touismo will be able to repair the damage. So it's going to be interesting to see where those two come out. As GJ picked up a little bit of damage. He's hit the barrier again as Holland Campion now. We're still with a 4/10 penalty, but he's still behind Topster. And in front of GJ. GJ though with the damage. Definitely going to affect him.
This is going to be really interesting. Who's going to come out ahead, Duke or Touismo? As Touismo's
out ahead, they both come out at the same time almost. As Touismo gets the jump of Duke, he remains in front of Duke, but Holland Campion, Topster and GJ now coming down the back straight. A little bit of a gap formed between the three of them. We'll just have to wait and see whether they pit. Joe Black with only 1% of fuel left, so he's been pushing in the probably in a higher engine mode, burning more fuel. Will Topster come into the pits? We'll run aboard with him. Topster doesn't pit, Holland doesn't pit, and GJ doesn't pit. So 6th down to 8th doesn't pit. GJ drifting his Subaru through the final corner with his damage.
As Duke's all over Touismo again, 3/10 between them. The battle has just come down to 3/10 now, and they're coming to one of the most critical stages in the lap, the down stage. They've got a couple of fast corners, and then you have to quickly get your car set up. While as Duke skims the barrier, that was so close.
Only 3 drivers are yet to pick up damage, I believe, in this race. Sorry, four drivers yet to pick up damage. To play directly Oriole, Duke and Joe Black. The only 4 drivers, I believe, not to pick up damage. Duke did make a mistake in the downhill section, was able to catch it quite nicely though, but he's now quite lost a little bit of time to Touismo. 1.3 seconds separate the two Mercedes drivers. Duke's a man who has won the first 3 races in the GT Sport League. Touismo, a man who hasn't won as of yet, but I'm sure he's looking to find his first race win here in the GT Sport Championship, and I'm sure it's not far away.
Touismo hasn't won a race yet, but he's still winning the championship, so it shows consistency is key here in this league.
Definitely, and
as
play Dutch in Oriole stay out. Interestingly,
Oriole has pit, but Play Dutch hasn't.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, Oriole has pit, and Play Dutch stays out.
It's amazing how Play Dutch in every race always goes out an extra 1 or 2 laps.
Play Dutch able to conserve his fuel. And, so that's what I see. Apparently, Touismo's fastest lap coming into the pits was a 1:59.5. Interestingly, it won't count because he was in the pits, but apparently coming into the pits gives you a quick lap. So coming out of the pits is quicker, but
I think it instantly sends you to your pit box, so that it might skip him across the line really quick, maybe.
But it's still Play Dutchy who leads. Still got this battle for the third place.
As will Play Dutchy come into the pits this lap. The very tricky pit lane to get into it.
Have to wait and see. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he is.
Oh no, he does. He does come into the pits. And
interesting to see how much fuel he had left over. 1%.
Last week we saw Play Dutchy come into the pits with 0% of fuel, and I've now lost my spectator cam. I can't change. I'm stuck on Dutchy.
There's sometimes if you just exit, as Cryptech has blue flags, as I think Tops just coming up to Cryptech. So Cryptech, Tops just met Cryptech in the worst position in the downhill section. Cryptech gets out of the way really nicely. Fair play to Cryptech.
On board with Tops now.
Holland Campion's coming to lap Cryptech.
Ooh, that was a little bit close. Cryptech.
That was.
To be fair to Cryptech, there's not a lot of room when you're getting lapped in the downhill section, but done well to make no contact between the two drivers. As Pete in the chat's looking forward to private lobbies in the Assetto Corsa. Not a player of Assetto Corsa, but I'm sure private lobbies would be useful. Especially if you're doing league races or you want some fun races with your friends, private matches would definitely help.
Yeah. So we're just halfway through this race. I think every driver's pit now.
I believe they have, and
this one thing I will say is this track doesn't seem to be too hard on the grading tyres. As when the drivers came into the pits, they didn't seem to have too much damage or too much wear on their tyres, which is good in a way. So maybe if you just fill the car with fuel, you might be able to only do a one stop, which I'd say will happen.
And just on board with Cryptech now, cheekily flashing his lights at his freshman league teammate Holland Campion. He has been lapped in this race, flashing his lights in the straights. He's either maybe a bit of fun between the two drivers. Obviously great teammates in the freshman league. On board with Touismo now, and kind of in a race with them.
It's good to see Cryptech not leaving the race. Although he's 3 minutes off the leader, he might see that there's really good points coming for 9th place, so he may as well finish the race.
Definitely, as the point system does go all the way down to last place. If you finished in 14th, well, in here 9th, you will get points. So there's points for everyone. Obviously, the points are reduced as you go down the grid. If you do finish in first place, you do get the full 30 points. Second place is awarded 24. Third is 21 points. Duke, who's currently running in 4th, he'll be picking up 18 points if it stays as it is. 5th is awarded 15, 6th is awarded 12, 7 10 points, and then 8th place is awarded 8 points, 9th 6 points, 10th 5th 5 points, 11th 4 points, 12th 33 points, 2 points, and then 1 point if you finish in 14th. So points for everyone here in the GT Sport League, but we only have 9 drivers today, so the lowest amount of points will be 6 points given today.
As Tubbs just slowly catching up to Joe Black here.
And
the gap's going down.
Question in the chat asking why Tobster, what happened to Tobster and why is he behind Joe? Tobster is one of many people to pick up damage in this race. Both him, Cryptech, GJ, Holland Campion, himself and Touismo have all crashed in the downhill tricky section of this track. And like we said at the start, if you haven't been here from the start, A, what are you doing? And B, we were talk about how that Honda is really tricky car to drive around this track. Obviously its engine is somewhere in the car, I can't remember where it is, but it makes it really tricky to drive, especially in the low speed chicane, and the elevation changes doesn't help. But he's slowly gaining on Joe Black. He's just getting 2 tenths, 4 tenths 5 tenths. Look at that gap come down. It was 6.8. Now it's 6.2. 6.1.
I say similar fuel as well. As did Tobster when he went into the pits. Did he change his tyres? Because he seems to have a good bit of tyre wear compared to everyone else.
I wasn't sure about the tyre change. Obviously the tyre wear is on ×1, so it's not too bad. Although we are having some new changes to next season, which should hopefully change up the strategy between some of the drivers. And hello to Duke Martin in the chat. How are you doing? Good to see that you're here to join us. We're currently on lap 15. 30 minutes have gone in this race. We currently have a 30 minutes left, or 28 minutes. Quite literally 28 minutes and 10 seconds, but Play Touchy still leads this race after qualifying on pole, so this man is unstoppable here. He's had a clean race, one of the only few drivers not to pick up damage. Oriole, I don't know why I said GJ. I was looking at Oriole and then I said GJ. I was going to say GJ picking up a 3-second penalty. Big damage! Big damage to GJ.
He's about to get lapped by...
Oh dear! Oh dear! Let's...
Oh no.
Let's not look at that. Let's just...
Maybe he might have a half brake failure, you never know. He's doing
his car might be damaged so bad. I do want to actually have a quick look at this actually. But
is he giving up?
Is he retiring the car? I'm not too sure. If you look in the bottom left, he has his hazard lights on. He was able to serve his 1-second penalty in that. Well, he serves to serve a second of his penalty, but comes into the pits, and I can only imagine that happened in the downhill section that we're spectating now.
Yeah, obviously it's really hard for us to see every single collision, as there's so many drivers.
And also, unlike...
Really unfortunate for GJ. I think that must be his 4th time in the pits this race. As Tobster had a bit of a moment during one of the sections, I forget where, but he held at no damage. But he lost a bit of time to Joe Black, but still 5.1 seconds between them. And he would be hoping to make a move on him probably in about 2 or 3 laps time. So I think I might have actually guessed right. I'm going to reckon we're going to have 31 laps. I think I said that from the start. So I'd be pretty chuffed to life if I got that right.
I'm going to say 28. Haven't done the maths personally. Would have loved to. I should probably do that before these races start and give you guys a little bit of an insight to how many laps we could get. We should have it. We should make it into a game.
GJ's in the wall again. GJ's in the wall.
GJ. A really big crash for GJ, the Subaru.
He was moving over. He's gone. He is gone. He was moving over for oh my god, my camera's now. He was moving over
to Duke, and there's a really interesting crash on the replay. He just got attached to the wall. If you guys have a look at that on the replay, he moved over, scraped the wall, but then his wall flung him out into the room as GJ has left the session. Really unfortunate for him. He's not going to be scoring any points in this race, but like I was going to say earlier, I can't remember what I was going to say earlier. Oh yeah, unlike F1 and Project Cars, we don't have the gaps between all the drivers. We only have the gap between the drivers we're spectating, which makes it difficult to see where any on-track battles are. So sometimes I like to use my live timing and get this beautiful track map.
Joe Black's hit the barrier. Joe Black's hit the barrier, and he has engine damage.
There goes the track map, and we're going to get a replay of what happened. We're going to ride on board with Joe Black here on the curb. Hasn't lost it there. We'll just ride on board with him again. Is it Suppo? Oh dear. He's got onto the curb, and he's picked up big engine damage. And look who's coming up behind him.
Now this could be
side by side, and Joe Black with his engine damage. Joe Black with his damage, unable to keep up in a straight line, and keep up with Tobster. So really unfortunate for him.
I think just as Pete Babe 81 in the chat says, Joe is on it tonight, mate. I think about a minute later, Joe Black crashes into the barrier. So that wasn't a commentator's curse. That was a spectator's curse.
That was a
maybe.
That was a chat curse. Unbelievable. But yeah, we got KSSLP saying, "What a bad move." I don't know if that's referring to an overtake from earlier, or GJ's blue flag incident. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but
as who's about to lap as Oriole has a second penalty and is coming up to lap Cryptek, I believe. It's a pity that Joe Black got damaged there, because it was shaping up to be a great battle between him and Topster. But I doubt Topster's complaining. And he's Holland camping and gaming on Topster. There's like 6 seconds between them. So we could have a battle there.
We'll keep an eye on the battle between Holland and Topster. F-Type versus Honda. And he's got really close to the barrier, scraping at that. You could just see the sparks. And something I love about this night race is on some of the cars, if we go up to play Dutch, you can Oriole, you can see the brake discs are literally red hot, on fire through the corners.
Great feature in this game.
And Jake Martin saying it's a really tough track to race at night. And Touismo with damage. Interesting. So that could allow Duke to gain in. Closing the 5-second gap to Toussaint, but like we said at the start, and I totally agree with you, Duke. If this track wasn't difficult in the day, had a night race to the scenario, and for example, I'm going to ride on board with Toussaint. If you ride on bonnet cam, this is what Toussaint's looking at. He's only got his headlights, and the barriers are. It's just. You've got to really learn the track and trust in yourself. As the gap between Toussaint and Duke's coming down, if you're one to race on the front of the car cam, the I don't know what this cam's actually called, but that's what you'd be looking at if you're in that cam, and the overhead of the car, so you really can't see much other than the brake lights and your headlights. But unlike us, we have full access to the spectator cam, which means we can see everything.
Protects off front light damage. And did you show a replay of Joe Black collision, or did I forget to mention? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Joe Black lost it on the curb before the downhill chicane, actually. So unfortunate for him, ran a little bit wide onto the curb, trying to push the track limits, and got into the power a little bit too early and settled the rear of his car, and he was sent off for a quick trip into the barrier. With one return ticket to the pits, so unfortunate for him. I'm getting good at these. I'm getting good at these little catchphrases and sentences for when these. I'm working on it, guys. I am working on it.
Yes,
unfortunately, checkers, I can't get a replay. I can only get a replay of the last 5, 8, no, 8, 12, and 15 seconds, and Holland off into the gravel. I think you're saying.
Really well held by Holland Campion.
Let's have another replay of this. We'll expose all the drivers who go wide, because that's what we like to do here in the commentary box. We'll ride on board with him now. Oh, yeah, and was able to catch it really well, actually. I thought I was watching that thinking it's going to go straight off into the barrier, but really impressive to try to hold it onto the track. Well, just hold it in general and not go into the barrier, but Toussaint with the damage. Hang on, Duke. 19 seconds behind Toussaint.
Duke come with it off. Excuse that voice crack, please.
What's happened there? What's with the big gaps between everyone? I don't remember this. Is there lag? Am I hallucinating?
It says 10 seconds between Joe Black and Holland Campion, 10 between Topster, 31 between Topster and Duke, 20 between Duke and Toussaint, 14 and 19. I'm just going to quickly...
The gap was 5 seconds.
I've left and joined back and it's the same. What have we missed here?
What's happened there? Apparently Joe's in 4th place in the chat. Joe's actually currently in 7th place on my screen. Don't know what's happening
Yeah,
in general, but really interesting. The gaps have just blown up.
yeah,
Biblical
really
scenes.
interesting.
So, 18 minutes to go.
And that's really. I think Duke must have made a mistake because they were about 2 or 3 seconds between them, and it's just gone down as I think Toussaint and Cryptech are the people damaged. So
Interesting. I don't know if Duke made a mistake, if he pitted, or what happened, but our closest on-track battle, it's not actually giving me the gap between Cryptech and Joe Black, or Joe Black and Cryptech. Could be because they've been lapped, maybe?
yeah, I'm looking at them on the map, and they're about one's on one side of the map and one's on the other side of the track, so they're not a battle to look at.
As all the drivers, I believe it's only Cryptech and Toussaint are the 2 drivers with damage on lap 21 here, with 17 and a half minutes to go here at Mount Panorama, round 11. So these 11 weeks have gone really quickly already, down to season. I don't know what I can't think. I'm trying to say 2 things at once. I was going to say only 3 weeks left, 3 races, and yeah.
Really interesting. But then we're looking here. Joe Black's only 10 seconds behind on Canton. I'm not sure if the gap going up or down. But Joe Black having a really good race this race. Obviously, if he didn't get that slightly bit of damage, he could be in 6th place at the moment. Really unfortunate.
Yellow flags. It's Oriole. Oriole's off. That's going to allow Toussaint to close in.
What?
Oh, I didn't get a quick enough replay. I'm going to try and... What's happened there? My replay camera's just going a bit berserk. Oriole... I don't know what's happened there with Oriole. But this has definitely spiced things up a little bit in the words of Chris Eubank. That's added a bit of spice to this race. And the gap now 2.7 seconds to Saint Honorio was 14 or 19, but it's now a full, well, only 2.
But this is just giving Play Dutchy a bigger lead. He has a 36-second lead to Oriole, which is just a bit incredible.
It's been a really commanding drive from Play Dutchy, but all eyes now are focused on Oriole. I was just like, yellow flags? Who is this? And then I look at the map and I'm like, hang on, it's the person in front of Toussaint, it's Oriole. Really unfortunate for him.
Red damage everywhere, but then there's no damage. But
I think he lost it on the curb.
Oh, Toussaint getting very loosey-goosey there. Just on the entry to the fast chicane, he really held it, thankfully. I think he clipped the grass, which sent him a bit weird, but he recovered well on the most crucial stage. I think we should call an interview just as they're entering.
I'm gonna get Toussaint in here now. Toussaint, hello.
Hey there, Natty. Sorry about the noise in the background.
Don't worry about it. But how's your race been going so far in this race? You're currently in 3rd place. Gained a little bit of time on Oriole. How do you think it's going?
Yeah, well, it's my own fault. Messed up my own race today. Just got some oversteer mid-corner at the top of the hill. Clipped the barrier, then I decided to stay out to the pit stops. Came in, got the damage fixed, got the tyres done in the fuel. Our fuel's looking good at the moment. I mean, Oriole's just made a mistake ahead of me, so I'm doing my best to try and chase it down. But earlier on I did have a half spin, meaning that I've picked up some more damage. I think you can see it on the front left of the car, so just making it a bit harder to catch Oriole, but I'm doing my best, giving it 110%, and see what happens.
And our final thing, do you think without the damage you got earlier, do you think you would have been able to challenge Oriole or maybe play Dutchy?
Without the damage I had, I was a second faster a lap, so... I mean, maybe not quite Dutchy's pace, but I was catching Oriole earlier.
So, we'll leave you to
Really
it.
unfortunate.
And, good luck.
Alright, thank you, see you at the end.
And there we go. Don't really want to disturb the drivers through this section, but yeah, really unlucky, like you say, Thunder.
As you can see, he just sounded a little bit disappointed about this race. As you could tell, as he was saying, he was a second quicker than Oriole. So P2 was up for grabs here, and he got the damage. But would you say it's worked? Could it be a really good punt for so probably in the pit stops it's about maybe 15 seconds. Duke is 16 seconds behind him. Could you say come into the pits, fix the damage, get a nice set of fresh tyres on, and bomb it to the end and see if you can catch Oriole? Or would you say that'd be just that bit too risky?
I mean, but potentially, but I'm not sure. It is possible, but if he's saying he's going to gain the second a lap with, I'm going to try and do some quick maths here, with 12 and a half minutes to go, if he takes about, it's going to take about 3 to 4 seconds to repair the damage, and if he, so I would say about 8, maybe 9 seconds in the pit stop, that's going to be 12 seconds, so it will be close. It would be close, but I think Touismo's going to be more focused on being consistent rather than pushing to gain Oriole. And just like we had in his interview, I tried to rush it there in the end. I didn't want to, you know, these drivers need to have 100% focus. Someone's round, and it's Cryptech and round in the final sector. Big damage to the front and rear of his car.
Play Dutchy's caught up. Play Dutchy's caught up to Joe Black at the worst stage, as Joe Black hits the barrier, I think, and there's no damage. But Play Dutchy caught up to Joe Black just as they were going to the downhill section, and it was close. Joe Black, really well done for him to get out of the way, but he skims the barrier trying to get out of the way. Obviously not ideal.
but yeah, like I was saying before, I tried to rush the interview there with 210 just a little bit because, you know, I didn't really want to be talking to a driver while going through the section that they are now. They driver needs, like Touismo said, 110% focused while going into this part of the track. One small mistake and that can cost you big damage. You've got a barrier either side of you, and they're really unforgiving barriers. It's obviously the downhill section, and once you've lost the car, you've lost the car. But the gap now gone up to 4 seconds between Touismo and Oriole, so that damage isn't helping him. But I think it's too late to pit for repairs. And someone's off. Cryptech's off, and he's now got blue flags to Topster. Flashes his lights as he goes through. 1.5 seconds.
Has a 1.5 second penalty.
Just to rub in the salt. Let's have another replay of that.
Just to rub it in, or
oh dear. Ooh. Got the replay of that, and really, so like we say, like this game, I was going to say like we've said, but we've not said it today, but there are many different forms of the penalty system in this game, but the penalty system that we're running with is the penalty system where you can get penalties for both corner cutting, track exceeding, and I think barrier collisions are on. And by that is using the barriers to an advantage, maybe pole driving into a barrier to slow the car down, despite the fact damage is on, so it's not going to work. But you will get a penalty for doing that, as Cryptech serves his penalty. And I think there's been a big crash! Big crash between Holland Campion and Cryptech.
Oh no. Teammates, we were joking about how these have such good banter with each other.
So
as they've
no. My days. So
what happened there?
On the topic of the penalty system, so the penalty system we're using is the drivers lift off the throttle, and let's say they have a 10th penalty, they slow down to a 10th. So, well, a 5/10 if they have a 5/10 penalty. And while they're lifting off, their car will ghost. And Holland Campion has seen Cryptek's car ghosting, but Cryptek, as he finished serving his penalty, has unghosted, and Holland Campion has gone straight through, straight into the back of Cryptek, and he's actually going to come out side by side with Joe Black. So, thank you very much, Cryptek, because we now have a battle on our hands, even though Holland's picked up a 2-second penalty. But that is the downside of the penalty. Potentially, but that's the downside of the penalty system. Once you've finished your penalty, you unghost, and Holland Campion just didn't see him unghosting. The other penalty system being the gates not randomly placed on the track, but there are penalty serving gates on the two for this track. They're after turn 1 and on the final straight, and what they do is your penalties will gather. So Holland Campion has a 1.8 second penalty. He can lift off, but his penalty wouldn't be served, but he'll serve all of his penalties at the straight. And that's the other penalty system in this game. That's the penalty system we're not using, so I don't know why I waste my energy explaining it. But anyway, Holland Campion will now has 8 minutes to gain on Joe Black. He does have a 1.8 second penalty, and I'm sure words might be said after this race.
One thing I will say is, just before we went live on air, I do vaguely remember saying 100% someone will crash while lapping someone.
And it's happened.
I think I just need to stop talking.
Let's just not talk. Let's not talk for a whole lap, but let's not do that because the chat will go insane. And, yeah, we're here to keep you guys entertained.
At least we have a good battle between Holland Campion and Joe Black here, as I think Holland Campion might just have the pace advantage on Joe Black and the fresher tyres, even though tyre wear doesn't really seem to be too much of an issue around this track.
He's got the tyres, he's got the... I was going to say he's got the fuel, but he's actually got... Actually, yeah, he has the fuel, he's got less fuel.
Duke's had an incident. Duke has engine damage.
And I'm going to get a replay of this, so... Sorry, Duke! And he's done exactly what Joe Black's done. Gone wide on the entry to the chicane, and has gone into the curb too early in the span. Span on the curb into the barrier. This race is insane.
Cryptek has engine damage. Is this Cryptek's about 20th time into the pits? I don't know. But oh my god, I think I just looked and I saw someone's icon spinning in the top right hand corner.
As Joe Black's made a mistake, he's hit the wall on the inside. We're down to 8 drivers in this race, so imagine if we had 14 drivers. We only started with 9 as Holland Campion scraping the wall a little bit there. Not
as I
picked
think
up any damage yet.
Has added an extra 2 corners into the track, and which is coming into the pit lane. He's getting very fond of it. It's like a Joker lap for Cryptek.
As we're now going to have a cockpit cam view of Holland Campion as he chases down the Mustang of not Topster, Joe Black. What I was going to say about Topster, where would he come out irrespective to Duke? I don't think Duke's going to come out in 4th place still. But yeah, really hard. This track is a really tricky track, especially the section that Oriole's coming through now. This twisty left, right downhill section. Real challenge for these drivers. But you got to give it to all of them tonight, and especially Topster. That Honda. I challenge anyone to do a high 2 minute ones in that Honda. But he's done well to keep his car in 5th place. But with 5 minutes left to go, we've had 55 minutes out of the 60 in this race, and it's Holland Campion versus Joe Black for 6th place. The Mustang versus the F-Type, USA versus Britain, or Germany versus the UK versus the Netherlands. Depends whether you want to go for manufacturer or driver nationality. But Joe Black, 2nd clear of Holland.
Yeah, as Play Dutchie we haven't really talked about too much, but he has a 42-second lead. over the front or over the pack, which is really, really impressive.
I believe he is the only driver not to make a mistake.
Probably. In qualifying, I think every driver made a mistake.
I believe so, yeah. Driver of the night. It's not going to be driver of the day, but driver of the night, as Black Country's put in the chat. Well, we will do a driver of the driver of the night. That doesn't quite sound as good as driver of the day, but get your driver
of the race.
Driver of the race.
As Holland champions all over Joe Black now coming onto the straight. He might be in the situation here. He's got a really good exit. He's
got a good run. Peter's telling Holland to push hard, and the gap's now 1/10. He pulls over to the left-hand side. It will be the outside, but then the inside. We're going to try and get a better camera here, and now the two going side by side. There's a little bit of a squeeze. There's contact, and both the drivers are off the track. Holland with a penalty. I'll try and get a replay of that. Will Holland go for a move around the outside? Okay, we'll try and get a quick replay. So
I think Joe,
from my point of view, in that incident, Joe Black turned in to Holland Campion. Holland Campion then, because of the physics in this game, lost control of his car and was unable to take the corner as well, and then both drivers off into the gravel. I believe Holland Campion got a penalty for exceeding track limits. Joe Black, I believe, got away with it, but Holland's all over the back of him now. 2 minutes to go, so they will. This is their penultimate lap for these two drivers. Topster is KSSLP's driver of the night. Lee, let me know if your driver of the night is in the chat. And Holland Campion now is trying to look for a move on Joe Black, but there's no. I don't think any move has been made in Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3. He is doing an amazing job in that Honda, you have to give it to him. I can agree with you there. Played actually another dominating race, and currently got a 44-second lead. But Joe Black and Holland Campion, only 5 cents separate them. On board with Holland Campion down the track straight, and there's contact between the two. Holland Campion going a little bit quicker than Joe Black through the S. Well, I'm going to call it the S's because I'm bored with calling it the chicane. Joe Black's hit the wall on the inside. That's going to allow Holland Campion to have a good run down the straight. 5 tenths between the two. We all loved my fast commentary during the Austrian Grand Prix, but now we're going to have it again here in the southern parts of Australia. I think it's the southern part of Australia. Don't quote me on that. Could be the north. But now 1/10, 2/10. We're going to ride on board with Holland Campion as he goes to the inside, try and replicate the move he done earlier. Down the inside, late on the brakes. There's contact again between the two drivers. If anyone wants to have another look at that, I didn't mean to click the replay camera, but we've had another look at that anyway. But
I think Joe Black turned in there. I think Holland Campion was well alongside. I just think Joe Black may have misjudged how much he needed to leave space. I think he should have conceded that corner, but Holland Campion still gets by. And the funny thing to see is Play Dutchy is on lap 30, while Cryptex is on lap 26.
That's well done, Thunder, for exposing the drive. but no, Cryptex had a rather unlucky race this race. He's currently got front damage, but 5 seconds left in this race. Who's it going to be to come across the line first? It's going to be Duke. Duke, the time is up here at Mount Panorama. It's the final lap. These drivers have to keep it clean for one more lap, otherwise it could be a very ungifted, unwanted trip to the barrier. Well, I'm sure some words could be said between a few of the drivers tonight. Dutchy, well, I'll get to Dutchy in a minute, but Duke rounds the final corner and finishes 4th in this race. That's something you don't often hear someone say. But who's next to round the final corner? Cryptek is finishing 8th. Cryptek finishing back. He hasn't actually made
Someone's
the
off.
line. Cryptek is
Did
now
you get a
reversing
flag?
over the line. After he's tried to slide over the line but has missed it. There goes Tobster over the line.
Oh,
Who's that? Dutchy comes across the line to win his sixth
sixth race in a row. I
sixth
think.
race, maybe sixth race after starting in round 5. I think Dutchy joined the league 5 or round 3, and has been a very dominant force in this league. No one is yet to stop him after he has joined. Holland Campion flashes his lights and will come across the line in 6th place after overtaking Joe Black on the final lap, who comes across the line in 7th. And Oriole will be the next one to come across the line. Oriole, a really good race from him, a really consistent race, rounds the final corner in the Mercedes, and is, I'm sure he's happy, weaves across the line for finish in P2. I believe his best finish of the season. And then there's Touismo, your Premier Series champion, your current championship leader, finishes in 3rd place. But that has been round 11. There has been your grid. Only 3 penalties were given in that race, and it is a victory once again. We've seen that race suit and helmet quite a few times now with the bright orange BMW in the background. Driver of the day, we've got one for Cryptek in.
I think I'd give it to Cryptek. Well,
Who else
I
has it
think
got?
Cryptek was in the most battles this race, so I think.
Yeah, he had some good races. Dutchy is flying in this league. Dutchy's flying. Dutchy deserves it nearly every race. We've got 1 for 2. Got 2 for Topster. 1 for Cryptek, and I think a few for Dutchy. And that's been
I
it.
think we got one for Topster because he's driving a Honda, which is very hard around this track.
Impressive for Topster for driving, and look, you can see him in the chat using the classic. I've had troubles with this car, but that's been it. A very eventful race in the GT Sport League. It's one of the very many eventful races here at Mount Panorama, round 11, where we are at Laguna Seca for round 12. Cryptek saying he pitted 9 times in the chat. And that's probably 8 times too many, but thank you to everyone who was watching. Thank you for everyone who's keeping us company in the chat. Hope you all enjoyed it, and yeah, next week will be round 12 in Laguna Seca, where we Touismo will be looking to try and close down his championship lead. But that's been all from me. I've been Natty G, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.